Welcome to Athenaze Chapter 2 Beta, in which we talk about noun forms. We'll do a second video where we talk about accents. So in Greek, we talk about declining nouns, because each noun has several different endings depending on the case. Greek nouns have 5 different cases. The case endings reflect how the word is being used in the sentence. Latin has 6 cases and German has 4. So let's look at the 5 case endings in Greek and what they're used to show in the sentence. We've already learned the nominative, and we know that it's used to show the subject and the complement of the sentence. In this chapter we learn the genitive. Eventually we'll see that the genitive is used to show possession, but for now, for this chapter, we're going to be limited to using the genitive with certain prepositions showing motion from a place. So, for example, I walk ek tu oiku, I walk out of the house. In this chapter, we also learn the dative, which eventually we'll see can be used for the indirect object of the sentence. But for now, we're going to see it only with certain prepositions showing a place where something is or where something happens. So, for example, I live en to oiko means I live in the house. We've already seen the accusative, and we know that it can be used as the direct object of the verb. We also saw in the last chapter that it can be used with certain prepositions showing motion towards. So, for example, I walk pros ton oikon means I walk towards the house. The last case in Greek is the vocative, which is the case of direct address. It's the case you use when you're talking directly to someone and you say their name or their profession. So, o autorge is what you would say if you wanted to say, hey farmer, look over here. So with that in mind, let's go to the next slide and see what the case endings are. So we're going to look only at the second declension singular nouns. In Greek, there are 3 major paradigms for noun endings. We call them the first, second, and third declension. For chapters 1 and 2, we've been working exclusively in the second declension. So you can forget about the first and the third for now. We'll be learning those later. So far, we've only looked at the masculine, but in chapter 2 beta, we're introduced to the neuter. So let's write down our 5 case names, and we're going to look only at the singular in the masculine and the neuter. We'll learn the plural forms later. So we've already learned the masculine nominative singular ho agros. Remember, this is for the second declension. We'll learn later that there are some third declension masculine nouns as well. But for now, anything that's of the form ho blank os is a second declension masculine singular. We've also already learned to agron, the accusative. Now we're adding in the genitive, dative, and vocative. So the genitive is to agru, and in the next video we'll learn why the accent changed to a circumflex. The dative is to agro, and that little mark underneath the omega is an iota subscript. Once upon a time, the iota would have been written on the line next to the omega, and it would have been pronounced as toy. But over time, the iota was written below the line, and the pronunciation changed to to. The last case is the vocative. The article is o, and the form of the noun is agre. In this chapter, we're introduced to the neuter, which has a different definite article, to, and the nominative singular ending is on, to dendron. The accusative is going to be identical in form, to dendron, and that's actually a rule that you can count on for all of the declensions, singular and plural. That is, the accusative, neuter accusative will always be identical to the neuter nominative. The other cases, the genitive and the dative, are going to look exactly like the masculine. So tu dendru and to dendro. The vocative has the same article, o, but the ending is going to be identical to the nominative and accusative, o dendron. Now, if you're wondering why I left a giant space, it's so that we can learn about adjectives. So for now, when we see adjectives, they're going to be of a particular kind of form. Kalos is the masculine. Pretty soon we'll learn the feminine kale. And now we're learning the neuter kolon. All three of these are the nominative singular. Masculine nominative singular, feminine nominative singular, and neuter nominative singular. The masculine nominative singular follows the second declension, the one we're learning right now. And the neuter nominative singular also follows the second declension, which we're learning right now. The feminine is going to follow the first declension, which we will learn later in Chapter 4, so you can forget all about it right now. So let's look at the masculine and neuter. Anytime you have a masculine noun and you want to modify it by an adjective, you have to use the masculine form of the adjective. So we get ho kalos agros. Anytime you have a neuter noun, you have to modify it with a neuter adjective. So we get ton kalon dendron, and the rest is very predictable. Tu kalu agru, to kalo agro, ton kolon agron, o kale agre. And then in the neuter land, tu kalu dendru, to kalo dendro, to kalon dendron, and o kalon dendron. So now, as promised, let's go to the next video to learn why some of those accents changed from acute to circumflex. See you in a minute.